You just spent 3 or more years getting a computer science degree. You pushed through the exams, you learned some Python, a bit of React, maybe how to write a REST API. You got the diploma and you are ready to start your career. And then, right as you graduate, you see an AI generate the exact same boilerplate code you just spent so much time learning in about 3 seconds for $0. Congratulations. It is easy to feel like you just wasted your time, but you didn't. The industry doesn't need fewer engineers. What happened is that the baseline simply moved up. I have about 20 years of experience from the industry, combined with many years in academia. We are going to talk in a future video about education, but today let's talk about your career in the age of AI. And as you can see today, I'm not in my completely not fake studio because this topic will be more conversational. The brutal reality of today's job market is that the role of the junior code translator is dead. 5 years ago, companies paid juniors to take an English written product requirement and translate it into standard syntax. Today, an LLM does that instantly. If your goal is just to type code fast, you are competing against the machine that will always win. Just like with calculators, you cannot beat them in mechanical tasks because they are built for that and incomparably more efficient at it than our soft human brains. Saying that, AI doesn't actually know what a computer is. It doesn't understand memory boundaries, it doesn't understand the CPU cache, and it certainly doesn't understand the underlying math required for real-time simulations. It just guesses the most statistically likely next token. If you want to get hired right now, you have to stop competing as a syntax translator and start acting like a systems engineer. You have to understand exactly what happens under the hood when that AI-generated code inevitably breaks. Gen AI doesn't know anything in the classical meaning. Let me show you how the grandpa of LLMs works on Bob Dylan's Tangled Up in Blue. I'm not sure if I can play it for you, so feel free to do so by yourself. By the way, we call the technique a Markov chain. Early one morning, the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she had changed at all, if her hair was still red. What I can do now is to draw this graph. There is an arrow for each word showing the flow of the original text. If a word is used more than once, there are more arrows. Here is the magic. You are a system just guessing the next word, wondering if. What is next? You don't know, so let's use this path. Wondering if her hair was laying in bed. This is not the original text, but, well, it is a real sentence, right? How about wondering if her hair was still red? Not exactly the lyrics, but pretty close. What is important? The sentence makes sense again, and that's it. The principle of a modern LLM is way more complicated. We can talk about it in a future video. But the point, guessing what comes next, is still there. So, there is no underlying knowledge of the song structure, feeling for art, or understanding of the author's intentions. It is just statistics. More bells and whistles, but statistics in a nutshell. To understand why the entry-level market is so tough right now, we need to look at what the junior developer actually used to do. 5 or 10 years ago, you would hire to do a relatively straightforward thing. A product manager or PM directly handed you a Jira ticket, and your job was to translate that into code. You wired up a database, you wrote some basic CRUD operations, you glued some APIs together. That job is gone. Or at least the way how we did it before. To understand why, remember what AI actually is, a probabilistic text synthesizer. It essentially outputs the statistical baseline of all the code on the internet, maybe fine-tuned with your company's private code if you run it on-premise. It turns out the backbone of plenty of commercial software development is exactly that. It's average boilerplate, and AI is incredibly good at this. But here is what AI completely fails to grasp. Software development is overwhelmingly a human-to-human interaction. Before a single line of code is written, real engineering is about planning. It's sitting in a room, arguing about architecture, figuring out edge cases, and extracting actual usable requirements from a possibly confused client who doesn't even know what they want. AI cannot read a room. It cannot negotiate technical trade-offs with a producer. It cannot organize a development sprint. It just types. Don't get me wrong here. AI can definitely somehow do even these things, but the issue is that we don't necessarily have an instant feedback loop. You ask AI to write a basic simulation of an atmospheric model, soon on the channel by the way, so don't forget to subscribe. You run it, give it a look, and see it works. Cool. But how do you know there is not any edge case where it fails? Well, you can ask AI and trust the answer, or you can ask someone who understands graphics programming to give you a review. Same for the timeline or product requirement document. You definitely want to have someone who understands what is happening to check this out. So if you are walking into an interview today and your portfolio just proves that you know how to set up a web framework or write a basic script, you are walking into a trap. You are presenting yourself as a junior of old times. You are competing directly against $20 a month subscription that doesn't sleep, doesn't complain, and generates boilerplate instantly. You cannot win that fight by being a faster typist. When it comes down to it, heavy use of advanced models will cost you way more than $20, but companies still pay it, at least for now. Here is where the real opportunity opens up. Because while AI can generate code, it also creates more technical debt, memory leaks, and architectural messes. It might lack in correctly evaluating security issues. Friends, all of it might not be an issue even for AI, but there is a condition. It must be prompted by a professional. A developer who understands this is able to guide Claude to do a good job, but someone without knowledge, completely relying on everything spat out based on somehow improvised prompting, well, that is bad. Even worse, there is a famous rule in computer science, known as the law of Leaky abstractions. Every single non-trivial abstraction will eventually leak. AI is the ultimate abstraction layer. It hides that underlying mechanics from you, but when you build software on top of a foundation you don't understand, the leak is catastrophic, potentially. Let's say you are working in C++ or building a game engine. You ask an AI to generate an entity component system. It spits out a module that looks completely fine. The syntax is clean, you can run it, but in production it completely tanks your frame rate. Why? Because the AI allocated memory in a way that scatters data all over the heap, destroying your CPU cache hit rate. It completely ignored data-oriented design. You ask the AI to fix the performance drop, and it just hallucinates another layer of abstractions that makes it worse. It doesn't understand hardware constraints. It doesn't know what the CPU register is, how thread synchronization works at the OS level, or why memory alignment matters in a hot loop. Again, you can fix this with AI if you know what you ask from it. If you don't understand the area, the problem, you most likely don't know it. And this is where companies are still desperate for real engineers. Real engineers. Code generation has become a commodity, but code verification, performance profiling, and low-level debugging, there is a massive premium. As a graduate, your value isn't in typing out 50 lines of code from scratch. Your value is in being the person who can audit what the machine wrote, look past the abstraction, and fix the mess under the hood when it breaks down. We have models specialized in searching for vulnerabilities, such as methods, but this model in the hands of professional will be infinitely more powerful than in the hands of theoretical mathematician. Do you know what I'm saying? Junior jobs didn't disappear, they just fundamentally changed. So how do you actually survive and get hired in this market? First, stop trying to memorize framework documentation. The AI already read the entire manual, and the framework will change in 6 months anyway. Instead, you need to go closer to the principles, closer to the computer science and how things work. And especially in game dev, don't be afraid of the math. As we talk about on this channel all the time, programming is really just applied math. You don't need to write the formulas, like probably don't even think about how to solve this or that, but you must be able to evaluate if the solution given to you by AI is correct. Most importantly, remember that you are a human being working with other human beings. Writing code is maybe 20% of the job. The rest is communication, system design, problem solving. This was not expected from junior before, but as time moves on, I think that even as a fresh graduate, you should know these things. Not just how to write code in the interviews, you should still focus on passing the programming part, of course, but don't underestimate the importance of soft skills. How you cooperate in a team, how you communicate with shareholders, how you resolve conflicts. If you are fresh, get ready to describe your experience from school projects or even some private group activity. Remember, the key is to treat AI as your employee. Use it heavily in a professional space where time matters. In your private time, if you love coding and want to learn, forget about AI. Go through the manual struggle and enjoy the dopamine hit when you finally get it right. But in the office, get ready that writing code will be automated more and more. And still, you are the responsible person. If my developer commits a PR and breaks production trying to defend it by saying, hey, AI wrote it, I don't care. You were the one who delivered it. Did you write it yourself? Did you hire someone to write it for you? Did you use AI? Whatever. You are the one responsible for it. Well, I would care if you hired someone from the outside to do it, but you know what I mean. And golden rule. AI in the hands of a professional will be way more efficient than AI in the hands of an amateur. Accept it, learn how to use it, and focus on the human interaction part of our job. Good luck out there. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and if you really like what you saw, consider supporting the channel via membership. Ciao!